G'day, I'm Paul. So there is a new Ford Mustang coming to Australia. That's still coming, but this one has also arrived. This is the Ford Mustang Mach-E. It's a full electric version of the Mustang. It's been out overseas for ages now, but it is new to Australia, so it means it's new to CarExpert. Now, this has been a bit controversial in terms of the name, so I'm not going to get into the naming and whether it's a real Mustang, blah, blah, blah. I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. This one here is the top spec GT trim, so the fastest they get. It's priced at just under $105,000 plus on-road costs. If that's too expensive, the entry-level single motor rear-wheel drive version is priced at around sort of $73,000. They've actually just gutted a whole stack of money out of the price in this to make it a bit more palatable, but it is still more expensive than the rest of the competitors in this segment, and by a decent stretch as well, I reckon. So it does fit in under the luxury car tax threshold, so you can claim the FBT exemption if you are on a novated lease, but it is going to cost you more than the competitors. Now, what does it compete with? So stuff like Hyundai Ioniq 5, Kia EV6, Tesla Model Y, they're the main sort of competitors in this segment that offer entry-level versions and also faster versions as well. Today we're going to do a detailed review of this car, so if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of this review, you can use time codes on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you could scroll down and use the chapters below. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you can find out every single time we drive a new Mustang. Now let's talk about design. So your optional colors are $700. What do you think about the design? Look, to me, when I saw it in pictures, I wasn't really a huge fan of it, but here in person, especially in this color, I actually think it looks really cool. So on the GT trim here, it's got that really sporty vibe to it. They've even integrated a sort of faux grille here, so you can see that sort of the shadowed portion inside there. And they've been really clever with just integrating that Mustang terminology. So you've got the Mustang on the front there. Inside the cabin, you've got things like ground speed for your speed. Even the drive modes have those sort of connotations to racing. So I just think it's a really cool setup in terms of the way they've propositioned this car, and yeah, as a sort of fast electric car, it comes with all the stuff that you want. So down the front here, full LED headlights. You've got little aero scoops down the side there, active shutters here for cooling. And if we whip around to the side here, you're on a decent set of treads there as well. So Pirelli P0 on a 20-inch wheel. You've got 355mm rotors with a 4-piston Brembo caliper. So decent braking package here. Should mean that it actually does pretty well when we go and get stuck into it. And I like the design of these wheels. Quite a complex looking design, but it looks sort of pretty cool there. Down the side here, Mach-E badge, and then 4 for the all-wheel drive setup. Privacy glass. It has a full glass roof, which is like a popular thing with electric vehicles. The door handles are interesting. So this is where you grab to pull the door handle, but to open it, you've got to push this button here. So sort of a different setup to what we've seen before. And then you've got the buttons here on the door. If you do want to leave your key inside the vehicle, you can then lock it using a PIN code here to get access to the car. I think that is a great feature, and more cars need to have that, because even with like a Tesla, you've got the phone app, which means you can remotely lock and unlock the car. But if you want to go for a surf or something, you want to leave your phone and your key in the car, this is a great way to be able to achieve that. Now, round the back here, let's have a look. And I should clarify, I don't go surfing, so I assume that's what surfers do. GT on the back here, you've got LED tail lights. And have a look at this sort of design at the back. It's got like that swoopy coupe look to it. It's not really like an Ioniq 5 or a Tesla Model Y, where they're quite squared off at the back. And that's probably going to mean not a great deal of boot space. So we'll have a look at that in a second. Shark fin aerial up the top there, and the spoiler sort of built into here as well. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. Do you think they should have called it a Mustang? What are your thoughts on that? Do you like the design of it? And what do you think about the pricing? Would you pay the extra money for this over one of its competitors? Let me know down there. So we are in the Mustang Mach-E. This is what the key looks like. You've got unlock, lock, front, boot, all these American terms, and then the Mustang just there. So it's a proximity sensing key. You've got a push button start just there. Now, in terms of design, I really like the look of this. I just think they've done a great job in terms of integrating technology. You've got this giant screen here in the center. Importantly, you have a screen ahead of the driver, which just gives you basic information, which is lacking from a stack of EVs today. And then I like this sort of textured material along the top there. That sort of all looks nice and premium. In terms of the touch points, that's all sort of fairly firm up there. Soft in the center there, soft on the doors as well. How soft is it? We've got our gyrometer. We've tested the main surfaces in this cabin. If you do want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description below. Now, build quality, what does all that feel like? So, it's not too bad. It's sort of fairly solid there. I did notice this was loose before, which probably isn't great, but yeah. This is what the door sounds like with your odd sort of door handle thing there. Now, infotainment, you have a whopper of a screen there in the centre, so 15.5 inches in size. And I really like the way they've integrated this down here. So it's all one screen, but you've actually got like a screen in there that you can push, and then you've got, depending on which mode you're in, it's either a volume control, or if you're doing your fan speed, you can adjust the fan speed. So it's really sort of clever setup and just something a little bit different to what everyone else is doing. So this is similar to the infotainment system I have in the Ranger. And what I did notice here with this one is that you can just see there how long that took to load. There are times when you sort of click on stuff and it's sort of a little bit laggy. It takes a while to sort of get things up and for everything to happen. So yeah, it is surprising to me when they develop these systems. How do they not test this to make sure it's fast and responsive? If you hop in a Hyundai or a Tesla, you press any of the buttons there, stuff just happens immediately. Whereas here, there's just a lot of thinking that has to happen before stuff actually appears. So yeah, that is a little bit disappointing. You do have a 10-speaker B&O branded sound system, AM, FM, DAB, digital radio, so it's a pretty well-equipped setup and a decent sound system as well. You do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto built into here. They are both wireless, so this is what Apple CarPlay looks like when it eventually loads. Once it is up there, it's fine. The screen's huge there, so it actually looks pretty nice. And this is Android Auto. Yeah, very nice. Big full screen integration there. Slightly laggy as you sort of play with that as well. Now, ahead of the driver, you have this screen that I mentioned earlier. There is a minor sort of configuration you can do here, and it changes depending on what you're doing and how you're driving. But I just love the fact that all your critical stuff is there ahead of you, and you just know exactly what's going on without having to dive through the menus and all that other sort of stuff. Now, let's talk safety. And before I do that, actually, just while we're sitting here, I've had the air conditioning running because it's quite hot outside. This is doing exactly what the I-Pace used to do when that came out, and that is when the air conditioning compressor comes on, it's vibrating the pedals quite significantly, but also parts of the car, and you can hear it running as well. So if you're sitting at a set of traffic lights, it all just fires up and starts sort of humming and whirring away. It feels like they don't actually have any vibration isolation on that compressor, and as a result of that, it's coming through the cabin and through the pedals as well. So that is something they definitely need to work on, because that type of stuff was phased out of electric vehicles ages ago. So, yeah, hopefully they can sort that out. Now, on the safety front, you have autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. You have an auto-dimming rear vision mirror. You've got a blind spot monitor built into the wing mirror, and also this sort of display ahead of the driver here that shows you what's going on with cars around you. There is a driver distraction monitor here, and this is actually used for a more advanced version of semi-autonomous driving, which we don't get in Australia. This only gets up to lane centering, which we'll test a little bit later on. You've got radar cruise control, front and rear parking sensors, rear cross traffic alert, and a 360 camera. I'll show you what that looks like. So there it is there. The quality of that's not too bad. It's sort of, you can sort of see what's going on there. And then you can adjust the views as required as well. So there's like a wide angle view. If I pop this into reverse, you can see out the back there. You can see what's on our suitcase as well. So yeah, it's not too bad, but not too great as well. And it's what the horn sounds like. So moving on to practicality, and we'll start off with your connectivity. So you've got a USB-A port down there, a USB-C port, you've got a wireless phone charger, and then a 12 volts outlet just in here. In terms of storing your phone, you can just whack it down there on the wireless phone charger or just next to it. There's stacks of room around here, which is definitely a good thing. Now, coffee, had no dramas with this morning. That fits in there without any problems. And what about our big cup? Well, there's our branded bottle, how fancy. That fits in nicely. Fits in the door too, but just judging on that space, I highly doubt our big bottle's going to fit in there. Oh no, it does. There you go. Looks can be deceiving. In terms of other storage, you've got, this sort of comes out of the way here, and there's a garage door that opens up to a sort of semi-okay space there. You've got storage space down the bottom here as well. Glove box here that's sort of reasonably sized, and a sunglasses holder up the top. Now, comfort, you have dual zone automatic climate control. You've got a heated steering wheel, heated seats. Seats themselves, so electrically adjustable, they go forwards and backwards. Backrest goes forwards and backwards. You've got lumbar adjustment. One thing I did notice though, you can't raise just the front of the seat. It just lifts the back. So driving position's okay, but it could be sort of a little bit tricky for some people to get used to. Full electric passenger seat adjustment and memory for the driver as well. Steering offers both tilt and reach adjustment. And on our reach test, all of this stuff is easy to reach while you're driving. So second row of the Mustang Mach-E. So knee room is good, toe room not very good at all. It's quite sort of cramped under there. Headroom is pretty good. If you do compare this to something like the Model Y, you actually sort of sit a little bit higher on the Model Y. Front seats sit higher as well, so you actually have a fair bit more room in the back of that. Air vents down here, you've got USB-C, USB-A charging, and then you have a center console here with 2 cup holders. Also fixed points on the outboard seats and then 3 top tether points as well. Does the window go all the way down? So it's auto up and down. Oh, so close. Now let's talk cargo space. So earlier I mentioned that this sloping boot line will eat into your cargo space, and you can see what I mean there. So it's only got just over 400 litres of cargo space. You do have a tiny amount of storage under the floor there, but it's really not that much. And it makes you wonder, when you look at things like the Model Y, there is such a deep and cavernous storage area in the back, in addition to more cargo space just in general. But here they haven't been able to make use of what is a dedicated EV platform to take advantage of that. So I'll show you what it looks like with our bags in there. So that's the laptop bag. That's the suitcase that takes up a fair old chunk of room there. You do have a 12-volt outlet off to the side here. Can expand the space if you want to, so you can drop the second row from here, and that expands the space to a little over 1,400 litres, which is better. Then under the front, you've also got a pretty reasonably sized cargo capacity of just over 130 litres. Now, let's talk about charging. So this uses a battery that is around 91 kilowatt hours in usable capacity. So it's a big old battery. You have both AC and DC charging available. AC can charge on 3-phase up to 11 kilowatts. DC has a max of 150 kilowatts, and then that averages out to about 85 kilowatts. Driving range of just under 500 kilometres on the WLTP cycle. So look, in terms of those specs, especially the charging spec, it's not amazing for a vehicle that has a lithium-ion battery. If you look at the competitors in the segment, both Hyundai and Kia are on 800-volt systems that can charge significantly faster than that, with an average much higher than that. Likewise, Tesla as well. So I think Ford needs to do a little bit better on their charging game. Okay, so we've just hit the road in the Mustang Mach-E. I'm going to kick off by saying the ride is firm, even here in the entry-level drive mode, and this has adaptive damping as well. The ride is really firm. You're feeling everything that's going on, and it gets progressively firmer as you go through to the sort of sport mode they call Untamed. So that is just one point to keep in mind. So 2 electric motors, combined power output of 358 kilowatts of power and 860 newton meters of torque, which is a big old slab of torque. What does all that feel like here behind the wheel? And that sort of belts you back into the seat really nicely there. It's a very good amount of torque. Very happy with that. It also offers one pedal driving, so just want to see what that feels like. So it is good that it is actually slowing down. It will come to a complete stop here as well. So that's actually quite nice. That one pedal driving system works pretty well. You can also then engage and disengage propulsion sounds. So it just makes noise while you're accelerating. We'll have a play with that when we go for our faster lap, but it is good that you can totally switch that off if you need to. So at low speeds here, it all feels perfectly fine. Steering is sort of heavy, but not overly heavy either, which is good. Let's talk economy. So Ford claims a combined average of a little under 19 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks. According to our long-term figure, so over the past 1,500 Ks, this car's been at 22 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks. So given it's a press car, probably had a bit of a hard treatment. I don't think it's too bad, but also not really amazing either in terms of economy. Okay, let's see what body control is like. Given how firm it is, I suspect it's going to be pretty good through here. We do this at 130 k's an hour over our sine waves. Sine waves are representative of a dodgy country road. They give us a good idea of how the car performs in terms of suspension tunes. So, yeah, nice. Far more settled than EV6 and Ioniq 5 there as well, which is good. So, bumpy road time. We do this one at 90 k's an hour. I've got it in the comfort setting, or the lowest drive mode there. Oh, it is bumpy in here. Okay, here comes our condensed sine wave. Yeah, ironically, it's quite smooth over that because the suspension firmness is allowing it to get into those dips. But yeah, it is quite firm, and yeah, you can just imagine if you were on a bit of a dodgy road, even on this smooth setting, it isn't exactly the most comfortable place to be seated. Okay, so let's chat drive modes. You've got Whisper, Active, and Untame. Pretty sure Untame in the States is called Unbridled. I don't know why they don't use that here, but anyway, we'll flick over to Untame, and then you've got the option of going through one pedal driving and all that sort of stuff, propulsion sound. But you can also put it in Untame Plus, which pauses one pedal drive and also gives you a bit more traction or less traction intervention. So see what that's like. I'll pop the propulsion sound on as well. So go for a punt around our track here. See how it feels. Ooh, weird brake pedal feel. Okay, I'll tip it into our first corner. Ooh, yeah, righto. A little bit snappy there. Yeah, look, it's weird. It's sort of, it is quick, definitely quick. But that brake pedal feel is not very good. Steering also feels a bit strange too. It's kind of direct, but has sort of notchy points on it. So yeah, it's a bit hard to explain, and it's also not letting me have, by the feel of it, all the torque that I want. So yeah, it's really quite strange because it's I'm talking a whole lot of jibber jabber here, but when I go for full throttle, it's not giving me the same amount of torque that I was getting at lower speeds. And as a result of that, here on our back straight, it's really not picking up with all that much pace if you compare it to other cars in this segment that are sort of similar in terms of that performance. So yeah, I don't know, a bit sort of in two minds about it. So it sits quite flat through the corners, but it's sort of, yeah, it sits flat through the corners, but when you go for the throttle, it's sort of just twitching around a little bit. It's sort of bouncing a little mid-corner. A lot of that comes down to the weight. It's a 90-something kilowatt-hour battery. That is a lot of weight to have and to move around, and it is just meaning that it is, you know, a little bit sort of porky when it comes through here, especially on these faster bits when you catch a bump mid-corner. And now it's giving me even less torque here. So I just wonder if that has something to do with our battery capacity. We're down to 44%. All right, let's go for one more lap. Let's see what it feels like down here. Punt into here. Yeah, I get the feeling with this that it actually has a lot of mechanical grip, but it is just, perhaps the battery system is just not willing to give me the torque that I was having earlier on. And as a result of that, I'm coming into corners fast because it's sort of moving with a bit of pace by the time I get there. But while I'm in the corner and then trying to power out of it, it's not just giving me, you know, it's not really giving me the full amount of torque that I was hoping to have there. So yeah, look, dynamically, I think my summary here, it's a bit sort of hard to make sense of, but my summary here is that it feels incredibly dynamic and potentially even more dynamic than the rest of the competitors in this segment. If you think of Ioniq 5, it's a bit soft. EV6 as well, it's a little bit soft, and as a result of that, you're not really getting that flat pose through corners, whereas this is sort of barreling along nicely, but it's coupled with brake pedal feel that isn't very good. It's coupled with steering feel that's a bit sort of numb and artificially heavy. and then you're getting that torque tapering that for some reason it's just not willing to give me full amount of torque. And if I switch off this Untamed Plus mode, it just won't let me go back into it, which tells me that the car is probably exhausted of our driving. And this has happened a few times today where I just haven't been able to go into Untamed Plus, and it says that there are some vehicle conditions where that system won't work. It is 32 degrees outside and very humid, but yeah, this doesn't really feel like the bona fide sports car it could. It doesn't really feel like a Mustang beneath the skin. It just feels like they've sort of put it all together and just not really connected all the dots all that well. So yeah, it is incredibly quick, but just not very nice to drive fast. Now, in terms of visibility, so I can see clearly down the front of the car there. Even though this is sort of SUV in terms of proportions, it doesn't actually sort of, you're not in a seating position that makes it feel like an SUV like you do in like a Model Y or something. Visibility out the back is through a pretty narrow envelope there, and visibility out of the wing mirrors is fine with a blind spot monitor built into those as well. When it comes to the turning circle, it's a little over 12 metres, and I thought I'd touch on the curb weight of this vehicle as well, over 2.2 tonnes, and a lot of that's courtesy to the battery with 90-ish kilowatt hours of usable capacity. It is a big battery to have in a vehicle like this, so it has really bumped up that curb mass to a considerable level. It is circa where the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the EV6 are as well. The Model Y is slightly lighter than all of those, but it is still a lot of weight to be lugging around. I really do like this screen ahead of me here that's giving me all the information that I need. So big fan of that, and it's got a little regen bar here as well. So if I go onto the throttle, it goes up, and then if I go into regen, it just goes down to regen to show me what's going on. Clearly see the speed and also the autonomous driving systems as well. So there is an L button here on the gear shifter. If you're not in one pedal driving, this actually increases the amount of regen. So it doesn't really do anything if you are in one pedal drive because it goes to a maximum regen, but it is there if you do want varying levels of regen while you're driving. Now, what about your road noise? It is really windy today, so we are getting a fair bit of wind noise. The road noise is good, but not amazing. It could be a little quieter, especially on coarse chip country roads. You tend to get a fair bit of noise coming into the cabin. But yeah, less of a concern as the noise. The ride is just so tiring when you're on the highway. It just picks up every little bump and stuff like that, so it can be a little bit frustrating. I'm keen to drive the other variants of this that aren't the sporty one to see if they're any better, but yeah, this would really get quite frustrating over time. Now, time to test some of these autonomous systems. We use the 3 outer lanes here at the bowl with our lane centering system active to see how well it works, because typically it translates well to what it does out on the road. So I'm going to engage that. So drop that down to 70 k's an hour and pop that on. So let's see how this works. Works really well in my Ranger, so I assume it's the same system. There is a more advanced version of this available in the States that uses this here, but it doesn't actually work here in Australia. They've disabled it because of government. All right, that's great in lane 1. We'll jump over to the next lane. Okie dokie, let's see how that goes. All right, that is on. Keeping us nice and centre there in the lane, no dramas. Perfect. All right, the challenging one. We'll jump up to the top lane here. See how it works on our biggest banking. Okay, so that's ready, and that is active. Let go of the wheel. Fantastic, that is holding that very nicely. Okay, so you can see where they get the Ranger system from. They must just pull it out of the Mustang Mach-E, so very nice. Okay, so this is the moment I've been waiting for, a bit of performance testing. So I wanted to tell you about Help Me CarExpert first. Go to Google, type in Help Me CarExpert. It'll take you to a page on our site where we can help connect you with a vetted dealer who is able to get you a better deal on a new car. So give that a crack if you're in the market. You can check out our site while you're there. Now, I will sort of put some caveats out here. It's 34 degrees and humid AF outside. Sorry, Sean. And battery is at 36%, so not exactly the most ideal conditions. And this Untamed Plus thing has been so frustrating to deal with today. It rarely ever works, and it's like the fast drive mode. So it's finally working now, so I thought let's just try it and see how it goes. The official 0 to 100 time is 3.7 seconds. So we're going to go to 120 and see how that goes. So yeah, brake, throttle, let go of the brake, and simple as that. So here we go. All right. right, and oh, nice. It feels quick, but not amazingly quick. There's 120, we'll come to a stop. I was expecting it to be a bit more sort of vicious off the line there. As far as I can tell, it doesn't have launch control. So I've tried a number of things here to make launch control work, but it was just brake and throttle there that got us off the line with traction off. So 0 to 100, wow, 5.39 seconds. It's not even close to the claim. And then 80 to 120, 3.96. So that side of things is good, but that acceleration off the line there, nowhere near the claim. So let me just try that once more. I'll try it in this direction. I'll come to a stop and just nail the throttle. We'll see how that goes. So there we go. So foot is off the brake. I'll turn one pedal drive off. Oh, but it's still creeping. Okay, that's not going to work. I'll try to just a little harder this time. Here we go. So it sort of tapers off a little bit there. All right, well, there's another 100k an hour run. We'll see how that went. Okay, so that time around 0 to 100 was 5.49 seconds. So slightly slower than before. Yeah, that is strange. Very strange. A little disappointing as well. I'll just... Yeah, doesn't really feel any different either. Okay, so there you go. For some reason, we can't get the manufacturer claim, even in all of the most advanced settings. So if there is something I'm doing wrong here, I've Googled launch control, I've checked the like the onboard software manual here, cannot find anything that I'm doing wrong there. Tried turning traction control off, turning stability control off, doesn't seem to make a great deal of a difference. So if there is something you think I should do differently, let me know in the comments section below, but yeah, pretty sort of underwhelmed with that performance time. Okay, time to do a break from 100 k's an hour. Pop this back into whisper mode. Here we go. All right, with a big old set of Brembos, it should sort of pull up pretty well. So let's see how we went there. 100 to 0, 2.58 seconds, 35.66 meters. That is really impressive. That's like Porsche and Lambo impressive. Very nice. Okay, so in terms of braking performance, that is seriously good. Okay, so sorry to interrupt the video. I have done some playing. So traction off, auto hold on in Untame. So basically all I need to do is just hit the throttle. And that seems to have been quicker. So let's just see if it actually is. So here we go. A bit of wheel slip off the line. Yeah, that is much stronger all the way through the rev band. Right, there's 100. I just don't understand why it's not like that from the start. Really weird. All right, so let's have a look. So that time around, 0 to 100 took 4.47 seconds. So still a full second, or still actually half a second off the manufacturer claim, but significantly faster again. So I suspect if the battery was full and I could get back into Untame Plus, but use that same method, it would be quicker. A lot of buts there. And now the moment you've been waiting for, our reverse acceleration test. Let's see how quick it'll go in reverse. Oh, wow, that was impressive. We had traction control flashing then in reverse. So it's about 50 k's an hour. Very nice. So the Ford Mustang Mach-E, as I get blown away here. Look, I was actually pretty disappointed by this. It just didn't excel anywhere in particular. On the practicality front, the boot's small. You do get some storage under the front there, but it just isn't very well laid out as a full electric vehicle. On the performance front, I don't know if it's just the weather or something's going on with that car, but it just didn't deliver the performance claims in a straight line, and perhaps it was battery level wasn't high enough or something like that, but you had to really jump through a lot of hoops to get it to get anywhere near the performance claim, and then once you jump through all those hoops, it actually didn't. Then on top of that, when we drove it around the track here, it just again disappointed in terms of its performance when it came to acceleration. It just tapered off torque constantly, and I don't know whether, again, it was the weather or I don't know, just battery conditions or something like that that just made it not very fun to drive. That was then followed up by the brake pedal feel. The handling was a little bit sketchy as well. So yeah, look, just all round, I just wasn't a huge fan of it, and I still think it is too expensive for Australia. Perhaps just a little too expensive, but if you look at the pricing in the States and where it sits against its competitors here, it is a little bit much to ask. So, yeah, sorry if you were hanging out for this and wanted me to tell you it was great. Now, I'm hoping that the entry level or perhaps the mid-spec with the rear-wheel drive are a better proposition in terms of the way they drive, especially in and around the city. So, sorry about that. Now, if you did enjoy this video, please make sure you like it and you share it with your mates. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. But until next time, take it easy.